Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Searchercast by Greenville Ghost Tours. My name is Dustin Bays, and I'm the director of Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators, and I will be your host alongside Gabe Matthews, certified paranormal investigator and founder of Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators. Join Gabe, myself, and our guests as we share paranormal experiences, media, and current events. What evidence will the Truth Searchers find this time?
Gabe Matthews here. This is the Searcher Cast. I'm bringing it back. It's good to be back, and I'm lucky to have Dustin Bays, who is a member of Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators, as well as Greenville Ghost Tours. You know, I'm going to have him as a regular co-host, a regular on the podcast, and it's exciting to kind of introduce you. So actually, Dustin, if you want to maybe talk about yourself, maybe say a thing or two about who you are. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, man. I'm really excited to be here. So, yeah, I'm one of the tour guides with Greenville Ghost Tours. I am the director and producer, I guess, of Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators. I'm from here in the upstate. Graduated from Walhalla High School and Anderson University, and I've lived in Greenville for I don't know, 8 years now. So got a little bit of everything.
And for those who are familiar with Truth Searchers content, you can know that a lot of our videos have, poor audio quality, poor video quality, lots of things messed up. That's before Dustin kind of came onto the team. So now we're going to start zapping and having, a little higher production, but we're still going to get the same content. We still want paranormal, we still want ghosts, lots of entities that will go and research and stuff. And also Dustin said that he's a big history buff. Apparently a lot of people in our audience like history. I'm only interested when it's relating to ghosts, but apparently Dustin reads history for fun, which I found interesting. I don't know if there's anything in, Greenville has a lot of history. And then I actually been talking to Dustin about some of these things that I can actually incorporate on the tour. So we're not just going out and investigating ghosts. We can talk about, Greenville was, invented in 1872 or whatever it was. You can tell me the dates, I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Gabe, it's funny that you say that you are not a history fan, but you're a ghost fan, right? And I know I start my tour by defining exactly what a ghost is. And I know at Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators, brought to you by Greenville Ghost Tours, we define ghosts 3 different ways, right? And it's the scientific ghost, which is where we kind of we jump into the investigated side of the house. But there's also the historical ghost, right? The idea, and this is what I say in the opening tour, the idea that you die twice. The first time when your body fails you, and then the second time is when your name is spoken for the very last time, and the idea of you existing dies, right? That's the second death. And so history is simply that space between the first and second death, right? And that's why saying the names of our loved ones, telling their stories, and effectively telling their ghost stories, it allows them to have a life after life. So just in essence, the fact that we have history creates ghosts. So I would argue, Gabe Matthews, that you are a history fan.
Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here first, everybody. Gabe Matthews, I am a history fan. I like it. And did you do the third one? Is that the third?
Yeah.
Did you do 3? I only heard 2. Okay.
I did
we'll
save
that for the tour.
The third one is one that we don't.
But I actually deal a lot with the scientific ghost and, finding like ectoplasm, actually tangible evidence that you can capture on a tour. These are the kind of ghosts that I typically deal with. And then when you talk about stories, the history ghost, and then also the third one that you didn't mention, we talk about all of them. Ghosts are around, ghosts are everywhere. That's, what we're researching here at the Truth Searchers. I'm also a paranormal researcher, and you've got to deal firsthand with some of my research. So it's kind of cool to to get into it. But you've been doing the tour for a while now. Is there a stop that you just really enjoy, that you just like to tell people about?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I really like all the stories that we tell on the tour. You know, what I have tried to do is I'm a history, like you said, I do enjoy the history aspect of the paranormal research, right? Like I would say when we're researching a topic, right, where you jump into the paranormal side, I'm the history buff, right? Like I did not watch X-Files. Scully to the Mulder, like
yeah, I'm more Mulder, I think is what you're getting at. And I like to think that I have some Scully in my scientific approach, but yes, Mulder has been a huge inspiration to me and is probably the best character in fiction. Yes,
absolutely. And I was a Friends buff, so I would say like I'm the Ross to your Phoebe, probably, right? Or something of that nature. But I got lost. And did I have a favorite stop? Yes. So one of the critiques I've gotten is that some of my ghost stories tend to be more historical stories. So I've really tried to jump into what is a good ghost story. And I think the best ghost story and my favorite ghost story that we tell on our tour is the story of the wedding of Fanny Heldman.
Fanny Heldman's a good one. And we're featured on the news telling that story. I was.
Absolutely.
So this is definitely a good one. For me, what makes a good ghost story is the truth. And, as a truth searcher, I'm always seeking truth. So everything on my tour is from things that, your stories that have been passed down. Nothing's made up on my tour. Everything is based on, and we try to give it as factual as it can. A lot of it is, firsthand conversations, secondhand conversations, literature, and the like. So a lot of the stories on my tour I read online in books. There's lots of books, of Greenville Ghosts. There's Tally Johnson, John Boyanowski, Jason Prophet, all have Greenville Ghost books, and someday it'd be nice to have my own book. And, as we're looking for stories in the area, everywhere, but, Greenville is kind of where the ghost tour is. So if you have a ghost story, especially something that is walkable downtown, we want to know about it so we can talk about it on the tour.
Absolutely. And let me turn that question around to you, Gabe. Do you have a favorite story on our tour?
Well, every story is great. I like to go to the graveyard. I'm always jonesing to visit a cemetery. And just the fact that the Springwood Cemetery exists in downtown Greenville, South Carolina, and the fact that I get to go there weekly, if not more, I'm can be seen walking around there all the time. Really, I'm always jonesing to visit a cemetery. But just the people who are local to Greenville and people who are also outsiders, that local people don't go there. And it's fascinating to me that when people come on the tour, I ask them, where are you from? Oh, Greenville. Have you ever been to Springwood Cemetery? They say no. And that a 30-acre cemetery exists there. And it's just like there's just so much evidence. There's so much history there. So that's definitely the spot. And, we can go to Fanny Heldman's grave, but there's other people who have died there. Everyone who has died has their own story. And I actually want to expand to talk about more dead people in the cemetery, on the tour. So that's a cool thing. By the way, I do love your shirt, Greenville Ghost Tours. And as you can see, I got a new hat. This is the TSPI logo on a hat. I'd like to sell them.
Yeah, I was going to say, if people wanted to get that, can they get one of those?
Well, right now, I'm going to buy a couple and maybe post them. But the thing is I don't know if there's a market out there for them. So if you want a Truth Searcher's hat, comment below in the comments, say I want the hat, and I'll make sure to kind of open a merch store and allow you to be able to buy a cool TSPI hat. And I mean, if people like to buy gear, I can get more stuff made. But I'm pretty fond of this hat. It's a nice hat.
Is that like printed, or is that like a sewn on logo?
No, it's like it's a sewn on patch. Yeah.
That's snazzy. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a pretty high quality hat, which actually, if I'm selling to people, maybe I need to go a little more lower quality, get one of those, cheapo hats, but with a good patch. I don't know. Maybe I'll sell both. You can kind of buy a cheaper hat that's, really cheap, or you can buy a high quality one, but it's going to be a premium, And that's kind of
let the market decide. See what the people want. But most importantly, Get in those comments. Get in those comments.
Yeah. Get in those comments. I mean, you can say I hate your hat too. I want people, people to comment if you like this. I mean, if you want more podcasts, the more comments, the more people that are here, the more we'll do these,
Yeah. We do have a couple of recordings lined up. We have a local alien enthusiast and streamer coming on to the podcast. We're going to have another cryptid corner with our very own team member, Derek Henderson. He's going to be joining us again on the podcast, giving us some updates. I know he's been stomping around in the woods. See what I did there? He's been stomping around in the woods, and I know he is itching. Not just from the crabs, but he has some tantalizing news that he's wanting to share with us. So we're going to get Derek Henderson back on the podcast.
Yeah. And Poyle just jumped on my lap.
Oh, hello.
Hey,
Guest
hello,
star.
Poyle.
Always good to have our animal companions nearby.
Yeah. And if you don't know, I actually named her Poyle after Spooky's girlfriend. Spooky couldn't pronounce Pearl, which is the name, so it's Poyle. I always thought that's good. Spooky and Casper, kind of fun little cartoons that I used to watch as a child.
This is where we are a oil and vinegar. It's like I grew up and I was a scaredy cat. And so I was not a horror fan whatsoever. Now I did watch like the live action Casper movie as a kid. Definitely a Ghostbusters fan. I love Ghostbusters. And then I did go through a stint where like I was a big Friday the 13th Jason fan. And then by extension, I did get into a little bit of Freddy, like in the high school and stuff. But
nice,
yeah, like definitely. Like I had a buddy in college. Shout out Matt Reiser, dude. He was a horror. You guys would be able to trade stories all day. Like he knows it like you know it.
Cool. We'll get him on the podcast sometime. Hey, Matt Reiser.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I should. I'm gonna reach out to him and see if he wants to jump on here. I think he would have a lot of fun.
Yeah, which actually, you mentioned Casper, which Ray Stans was a guest in that show. The Ghostbuster and Casper, and you mentioned you like Ghostbusters, which it might be a good segue. I am so excited for Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. I thought that we could do our predictions for the movie.
Ooh, yes. I love that. Let's do it.
Yeah. You'd like it? Okay. So I got a couple. One is that I think Egon's ghost will be back. I think that they will have the ghost show up of Egon. So that'll be interesting because, he was in the last one. And I mean, I can't imagine doing Ghostbusters without Egon. So I'm sure they'll get that in there. In the last movie, they had Muncher, which kind of was like a blue Slimer. So this time, I think they're going to have another creature that is very similar to Slimer and Muncher, and I'm thinking it'll be pink or purple.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
So in the vein of sacrificing Han Solo in the reboot of the Star Wars series, I think Bill Murray's character is going to. I think Bill Murray's character is going to die.
Oh my God. I hope not. Bill Murray has always been the mouth of the Ghostbusters, and it would suck to have someone like him die. But, for a long time, they wouldn't even do Ghostbusters 3 because he wanted to be killed off in the movie. So I could see that happening. I really hope that that's not the case, but that's a really good one. That's a big one. My next one is that Rick Moranis, Louis Tully will not be in this one. Last time I predicted he was, and he wasn't. So this time I'm hoping I predict that he's not, and he will be. So because they need to back up the Brinks truck and do whatever it takes to get Rick Moranis out of retirement. I mean, the only things that he's been in the last long time was he did a couple of voiceovers for Brother Bear or whatever that movie was, and he did show up in the Goldbergs as Dark Helmet, but that's a TV show, and it's
right.
Why aren't you coming back to be Louis Tully, and they talked about doing Shrunked, the Honey That Shrunk the Kids reboot. And it's well, we need Rick Moranis in our life. And there's no better than, Louis Tully to come in. So please, hopefully he's in this movie. You know, it's funny. In Ghostbusters 2, Eugene Levy played Sherman Tully in that movie, but they cut out all of the scenes. So they're all deleted scenes. So you have to like Google like deleted scenes Eugene Levy Ghostbusters 2 to even see them, and they were bad. Yeah, but it's like, oh, if you're not having Louis Tully in there, at least have one of his relatives. Call up Eugene Levy. I mean, what's he doing now? I mean, I don't know if are they still doing that one show, Schitt's Creek? Are they still doing that?
No, that one's done.
Yeah, see, it's done. What's he doing now? He could at least come on as Sherman Tully, and he could still have a Tully person in Ghostbusters. Are we calling it 4? I don't know.
Well, yeah. What is it? It's at some point we're milking a dry cow here, or what's the phrase?
Well, being a dead horse.
Yeah.
I like milking a dry cow. That's because
there's definitely some of that, right? Okay.
Have you ever milked a cow, Dustin?
I have actually milked a cow. It has been. I was a child,
but cows have like a lot of milk. What happens when they run out? I mean, do you keep tugging and there's still
well, I mean, like, do you want to know what actually happens when like a cow that's what happens? That's where like hamburgers come from, right? Like
if you just keep tugging on a cow, then the camera.
Oh, on the teat? Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I have no idea. I would have drew maybe some dry heaving, or maybe or it goes, hey, stop that. I don't know. I'm not sure. I do not know though, but I have participated in milking a cow once.
Okay. I haven't. Someday.
My dad lived on a farm, so it became part of the process. So actually my dad had a cow and we named it, and he let me bond with that cow, and then he killed it, and he turned it into ground beef. And I came back one time and I said, hey, where's Jethro? And he said, you just ate him. And I had a lot of feelings about that for a little while.
Yeah.
Was that
interesting? But it probably tasted good.
Oh, it was awesome. It was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
So you kind of learned about that, yeah.
The life process. Yeah, I mean, the dude living on a farm, that'll do it. All right, I have another prediction for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This is going to be a hot take. I predict that Gabe Matthews will not like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Oh, that's a hot take. I'm really excited about this one. I think it's finally the movie that I've been waiting for all the years. And if you haven't seen my review of Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the one before this, I do have that on my channel. You can read it, you can watch it. And I will be reviewing Frozen Empire. So I am really excited about this movie because I feel like it's heading in the direction that I want. But yeah, you think I won't like it. We'll have to see, and we'll find out in a few short weeks. I think it comes out in 2 to 3 weeks, 2 weeks away.
As we're
depends when it's come out. Yeah, maybe it's out this week. I don't know. Yeah,
it potentially already be out. If it is already out, hey, check out the review. Check out the review.
Well, you could be watching this afterwards, but hopefully this posts before that for sure. The other one I have is I think Vigo and Oscar will be mentioned in this movie, which will make Ghostbusters 2 a little more canon. In the Ghostbusters Afterlife, they kind of ignored almost everything in Ghostbusters 2, which really infuriated me. But one thing that they did have in Ghostbusters Afterlife was that Ray did work at the occult bookstore. So that's like there might have been other things, but that was kind of the main thing that made Ghostbusters 2 canon. And I think that hopefully they'll do a little better to Ghostbusters 2 and at least mention Oscar or Vigo as existing in world. So that's one of my predictions.
Right. I just wanted to double back something you said, Gabe. I just noticed you were saying you counted this as Ghostbusters 4. All right.
Right.
So that would make Ghostbusters Afterlife Ghostbusters 3.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
And then there's a Ghostbusters 2, but there's another Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Answer the Call. It's not in world. It's kind of. This movie, existence kind of pissed me off for a while, but I will say that I have been going through the stages of grief, and I feel like I'm closer to the acceptance. And I think it's because I'm still getting Ghostbusters movies that are closer aligned to where I wanted them to be.
Because there's more Ghostbusters movie, it makes it's like having a bad performance or something, or getting like a bad review on your tour, right? Like when you have a bunch of 5-star reviews, that 1-star review feels less, it doesn't bite as much.
I suppose so. I really wish they would have done something completely different with that movie. I mean, the cast was good. It's just they remade Ghostbusters, and like, why are you remaking Ghostbusters? And then it's like the whole movie reminded you of the thing that you liked, but it's like not the thing. And I don't want to turn this podcast into this thing because this is a big topic. I mean, I've done, like, I probably need therapy, and it's kind of like what I'm doing. I'm coping with this thing of this movie, but yeah, it's more like the excitement of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire that's happening.
Absolutely. And then there is one other so I'm flipping through IMDb here. I just searched Ghostbusters, and there's a couple of Ghostbusters here. Have you ever heard of these? Now, there's the real Ghostbusters. It was the TV show, but it's like the Ghost Space Busters. It looks like it was almost a British comedy show. Have you ever seen this?
I thought you were like, if you're referring to fan films, but it sounds like this is not a fan film, huh?
No, here, let me drop this in chat for you. So,
nice. Okay, let me click on it.
Maybe we should do a review of this series. Maybe like at least like watch like the first season or something. We can do a review on the Ghostbusters. It looks like a man and his pet gorilla hunting ghosts.
Oh, so that's kind of why the TV show is called The Real Ghostbusters, because the rights to Ghostbusters was from another show with the gorilla and the guy, and then they had the cartoon called Ghostbusters with a space, and that's why they try to get the rights. They got the rights to the movie to call it Ghostbusters, but for the cartoon they decided to just call it The Real Ghostbusters. And for some reason this isn't loading, but I've actually never watched the live action The Ghostbusters. This is from 1975.
Yeah,
and this is a full show. I'm seeing at least one season, 10 episodes. It looks like.
Yeah. And then there's another
15 episodes.
There's another, the Ghostbusters, again with the space, the Ghostbusters Noir, a 2016, it looks like short film, where it says the 1940s Ghostbusters battle a fiendish Hollywood producer who makes film remakes so that he can dumb the public down and steal their money. So I don't know. It looks like we have some other Ghostbusters videos to review and check out.
Well, it's interesting, but for me, I've only liked Ghostbusters when it's Peter, Ray, Winston, Egon. So when you take them out, it's kind of been not that good. I still hope. I mean, I love the concept. I'm not saying that you can't make a Ghostbusters that's good without those 4 characters, but that's why I'm excited about Frozen Empire. It seems like Egon's dead, obviously, so he won't be in it. But Peter, Ray, and Winston have big roles in this movie. So that's why and of course there'll be other people involved and Egon's family and whatnot. But yeah, so that's what's cool. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for the movie. So.
Any last predictions? Do you have any more predictions?
I have one last one, and that was that one of the kids, and I think either Lucky or Podcast, will be held captive by a ghostly entity and needs saving.
Ooh. That's a good one. As the plot line there.
Yeah, well, Lucky and Podcast seem to be kind of on the outs. Like, it's like we don't really care. I mean, they didn't do a whole lot in the first movie or in Afterlife, and it's like, yeah, we want to focus more on Egon's family, and it's like, oh, let's still have them involved. And I think it's easy to like have them captured by an entity or something, and then just kind of leave them out of the movie for half of it, and then they need saving, and then you can kind of bring them back at the end, and then Podcast can do a podcast or whatever. We're doing a podcast, and he can do a podcast kind of thing.
that brings me into my last prediction, which is I think they are going to, they have like the new Ghostbusters crew, right? Mm-hmm. I think they're going to follow kind of what the superhero worlds are doing. We're going to start seeing Ghostbusters multiverse.
Well, they already have that. They already have that in the comics. They
so
brought
there's a precedent. There's a precedent.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, and actually, I forget who does the comics now, but IDW had them for a while, and they had the Ghostbusters meet the real Ghostbusters meet the extreme Ghostbusters, and they kind of all the different Ghostbusters from all the multiverses kind of gotten together, and actually, that's how they got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters crossover. It's kind of some type of multiverse thing. I hadn't read it, but I think I own that one. I need to check it out. I mean, that'd be a cool crossover. TMNT, GB.
Yes,
GB.
I agree. I was doing the mental. TMNT. Yeah, I was doing the mental spelling there. Yeah, absolutely. I went through a big TMNT. Although, like TMNT, I feel like TMNT versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. To my mind, it's two different things, right? Like TMNT was this whole like the animated, like newer age Cartoon Network, where it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the old school cartoon, and then the live action. That was really what I was all about, was like the live action stuff. And I was all into Karate Kids and stuff. I was big into karate when I was like a little boy.
Yeah, awesome. And I always thought that they could combine, Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they could call it, the LGBTMNT, the Legion of Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I think that would be a cool name that they could have, for this combined, multiverse, combination show.
Yeah, we'll workshop that one. All right, hey, I think this is a good place. Let's take a break. And let's hear a little bit. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, Greenville Ghost Tours. Woo!
My name is Gabe Matthews. I'm a certified paranormal investigator from Greenville, South Carolina. Through my paranormal journey, I felt a calling to start a downtown paranormal walking tour. This tour's mission is to teach about the paranormal, raise awareness for the unnatural, and in the end, to find the truth. Tickets are $25. Tour schedule available at greenvilleghosttours.com.
All right, and we're back. That was a great advertisement, and hopefully we get another person to kind of sponsor us. So if you're out there and you have some money or a product, that want to pay us, we'll be happy to feature you here on this podcast. But yeah, Dustin, you're, like you said, a history buff. I was hoping that you could give me a history lesson. Greenville is, a place that I live, and we do tours. And I there's a lot I know, but there's a lot I don't know. And I know that you kind of just spend your leisure just do it, like reading about this stuff. So, what is there something that is, you're thinking about? It's like, oh man, I remember this in history or want to talk about.
Absolutely. There's a couple things that come to mind. And so I'll try to stay focused here in one territory. Now, one of our most popular stops, I think, on the tour, and one of the most popular kind of tourist destinations in Greenville has to be Falls Park. Like, hands down, like it's right in the middle of our city. There's this amazing architecture surrounding it, between the bridge and the buildings and the food that's available. I mean, it is a hot spot, not just for people that are alive, but also for some of our historical ghosts. Now, Richard Paris, you may know this name if you are a Greenville native, because Richard Paris was the first colonial settler of Greenville. And his name, we still hold his name in our city on our little, what is known as a monadnock, which a monadnock is kind of like an isolated small mountain And so Paris Mountain is what's known as a monadnock, and that bears his name. And so Richard Paris, when he first moved into this area, he kind of stole this land, but effectively he went to the Cherokee, who were the tribal group that inhabited this area, what is known as the lower band of Cherokee, and they really lived in and up and around present-day Oconee County. I mean, they would hunt in this area, but he kind of went to them and he made promises to them. He went to chiefs and said, like, hey, listen, if you give me this land, I'll take you back to Britain, and I'm going to wine you and I'm going to dine you, and you are going to be rich and powerful. And so all these chiefs were like, yeah, you can take my land if you're going to make me rich. That sounds great. But ultimately, come the Revolutionary War, Richard Paris and the Cherokee ended up allying with the local resistance, the loyalists to the British cause, because the Revolutionary War in the South, when it kicked off, it wasn't the British and the American fighting. It was the loyalist Americans and the what I guess was essentially the secessionists, right? The what is now known as the Patriot Americans fighting for independence, right? They just got it on. They were like, we don't gotta wait for the British to get down here. We just get it on. Let's get rowdy, y'all. Right? They just started fighting each other. And Richard Paris would stage these battles, or not the battles, but he would stage these, like planning attacks, staging these attacks at his home, his plantation, which was at Falls Park. So the counter-revolutionary resistance headquarters was Falls Park, effectively. And so that's one of my favorite history facts, is that this park in the middle of our city was like the center of anti-American sentiment during the Revolutionary War. And the Cherokee living here, that was the indigenous population. There was a lot of tribes that lived in and around the Carolinas. The Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountain range in the world. So I've seen on Reddit, as people are commenting on Greenville Ghost Tours, they're like, what ghost stories could they possibly have in Greenville? And I'm like, what are you talking about? This mountain range was here before dinosaurs existed. So like literally everything that has ever lived on land since the dinosaurs has lived and died in the Appalachian Mountains, and thus has lived and died in Greenville. There's fossils of mammoths. There's fossils. They're like bison used to roam this area. Like there's so much history. People have been living here for 10, 12,000 years until the first Europeans got into the Carolina interior, which would have been Hernando de Soto and the Spanish conquistadors, right? And then you have, kind of the story that we know about the conquistadors and kind of the settling of Americas. But yeah, and it was the Spanish were the first ones in the upstate Carolinas, which most people don't really probably know or think about, right? We know about the Spanish in Florida, but no one really thinks about the Spanish in upstate Carolinas, in the interior of the mountains of Carolinas. So there's your little history lesson, Gabe Matthews.
Awesome. And I kind of zoned out, but I'll have to rewatch that back later to kind of consume that information, and perhaps even maybe if any of those nuggets, I can kind of use them in my tour these days.
I'm going to polish it up so people don't fall us asleep. I'm working on that.
Well, not everyone gets good. I think it was probably good content. I was like, it was halfway through. I was like, wait, I need to pay attention. And so I felt like I was back in school.
I know.
It's like I got a teacher kind of lecturing me about, Spanish conquering places. And I'm like, and that's a good point. And it's like, I don't remember where the Spanish conquered, but they kind of conquered a lot of places.
They did, including South Carolina.
Yeah, and you mentioned that St. Augustine, that's kind of why it was so early on, and St. Augustine's such a haunted place, like one of the oldest cities with lots of, and shout out to all of our friends down in St. Augustine, which I've never been to, so I don't have any friends, but I hope we're friends, and so we'd like to talk. I like to go down there. I think that's one of the trips that we need to take to kind of see one of the oldest cities in America, see all the ghosts, there's a lot of ghost tours down there. There's a lot of haunted activity, places to investigate, people to talk to, people to see. But yeah, I mean, we can talk more about Greenville.
Hey, if hey, I'm going on a little independent trip here at about the middle of April. I'm going to be rolling through St. Augustine because there's a specific hot sauce that I want. It's a daddle pepper sauce.
Nice.
You only get it in St. Augustine. It's real good. You have to come try some.
Do you have a favorite hot sauce? Do people have favorite hot sauces?
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm especially and I would especially say since the Hot Ones, right, has come onto the scene, it's only contributed to the popularization of hot sauce. But I mean, if I had to pick a favorite hot sauce, it'd probably be this daddle hot sauce.
Okay, I'll have to try some daddle hot sauce.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's it's got some sweetness to it, which I like. I like the sweet and spicy.
What's your go-to of the ones that are very generic and common?
Probably sriracha.
Sriracha,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably sriracha.
Mine's Cholula. I like the Cholula.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Cholula, especially Cholula is a good breakfast hot sauce for sure.
I found that I can kind of use it on almost everything.
On everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to. I mean, I have a Texas Pete and a Red Hot and all those, but I found Cholula has kind of been the one that I've been replaced all those with.
If you can find one, there's a hot sauce, and it's I use hot sauce loosely, but it's called Pick-a-Peppa. Have you ever heard of Pick-a-Peppa?
I've heard of Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig, yeah, is a little different than that. No, Pick-a-Peppa is it's a hot sauce, but to me, it's almost to me, it tastes more like steak sauce than hot sauce, but it's almost maybe it's like a spicy steak sauce, but it's real good. I think you maybe just find it in the local grocery store. So that would be my recommendation. That's a good one.
I have been wanting to do some research with ghost peppers because I think that there's a lot to be researched there. There's a reason why it has the name ghost pepper. I mean, if you think about, peppers that, have died and kind of their existence kind of still lingers on, and there's, kind of the spiciness of a pepper, that you can eat it. And, those are ghost peppers are really hot, Yeah. There's a lot of kind of research, paranormal research that can be done with ghost peppers.
So I'm a hobbyist gardener, I would say. So let's do this. If you're watching this and you want to see and you want me to grow a ghost pepper for Gabe to eat, let us know in the comments. If that would be entertaining to you and you would watch that on video, let us know, because I'll totally make that video. I don't know if Gabe would be too excited about it, but it's part of the research, right?
Yeah, I think if people wanted that, we could probably do something like that. I can imagine.
If you're
just researching peppers and stuff, and one of my hobbies is cooking. So I like to cook, and using ghost peppers in a cooking thing, it would be a good thing. And why not eat it?
Yep. And I did want to say too, if speaking of getting in the comments, if you're watching this, you happen to be from St. Augustine, let me know a really good haunted place to go check out while I'm in the area. Or if you're a paranormal investigator watching this and you're a paranormal investigator from St. Augustine, you want to come on the podcast and talk to us, we'd love to have you and hear some of your stories and hear from some of your experiences. So hit us up. If you're from Florida, hit us up. Let's say what's up.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Hey, we're getting kind of towards the end of our podcast, and I always like to kind of, do a spotlight album. I'm really into music. So I do want to put a spotlight on, this is an album that came out last year by a band that I really like called Cattle Decapitation. And so they released their 2023 album Terrasite. So Cattle Decapitation, Terrasite, definitely check that out. And they have a song on there that I particularly enjoyed called, We Eat Our Young. And, this is basically a song about how, we don't take care of our planet. And, we just kind of let it go to crap. And, we kind of just devour on the environment so that, we're not going to have a life that's going to be good. Our future generations are dead. We're kind of eating our young by polluting the planet. And this is actually a vegan metal band. So if you're into veganism and also heavy metal, they're kind of the band to check out. And this is actually my third favorite album of theirs. So if you want to check out some of the stuff that I particularly enjoy, the two albums I like are the Monolith of Humanity and also the Anthropocene Extinction. So those are some things to check out. So definitely check out Cattle Decapitation Terracite. So yeah, that's kind of a little thing I've been doing on this podcast. I like to shout out some music. As you know, I'm a music person, especially when it's paranormal related. And I think there's a lot of paranormal in our environment. So I think Cattle Decapitation kind of fits that mold.
I love that. Yeah, I came across today to kind of go with the flow of what you're laying down here. I came across today a really cool album called Epic: The Troy Saga, and this guy kind of made this concept album of just like basically the Odyssey by Homer, right? Talking about historical ghosts, names that live forever. And it's like it's a concept album, but it's very musical theater-esque. And so as like a person who loves history, right, and loves telling those stories, and like Hamilton kind of like blossomed onto the scene of like, hey, look, history can be fun, right? Like you were saying, like you felt like you were back in school when I was talking and falling asleep, right? Like, but this is telling that story in a really cool way. So Epic: The Troy Saga, that would be my music that I would recommend.
Okay, well, you can write down in the comments which one you liked better. Was it Cattle Decapitation or was it some, the Odyssey? I don't know, whatever this was kind of thing.
It doesn't have to be a competition, Gabe. It doesn't have to be a competition.
Well, sure.
But make sure you write Troy. Make sure you write Troy. This Troy Saga, Epic. The Troy Saga is definitely better than.
Okay, I'll give it a listen. Maybe it is good.
All right. Well, let's do that. Let's do it next time. Let's swap music, and then next time we're gonna we'll come back to it. All right. We'll review it next time on the podcast and see what we thought.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, but I think we're kind of getting towards the end. Is there anything you want to promote or say?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, it's probably going to be the similar things to what you're going to want to plug. But hey, follow Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators. We are on TikTok. We are on YouTube. YouTube's probably our primary channel that we're putting energy into right now.
And by the way, I decided to rebrand our tags to be Truth Searchers.
Oh, I love that. That's so easy. So at Truth Searchers.
It kind of dawned on me the other day, and I can't remember why I did Paranormal TSPI. I had reasons, but they weren't that great. But I had someone on my tour that kept saying, "What is it again?" And I said Paranormal TSPI, and they're like, Paranormal. And I said TSPI, and they said they just kept couldn't get it, and I was like, you know what, we're done. It's Truth Searchers.
Truth Searchers. I love that.
There's probably at least 40 people who have not subscribed because they couldn't understand Paranormal TSPI. So right. We're gonna be Truth Searchers. I'm gonna try to get all those tags everywhere, TikTok. But I don't know. It's possible. Hopefully, no one's taken them. Don't post this until they're on there. Because I hate for someone to steal the Truth Searchers, at Truth Searchers.
So yeah, if this is still in the podcast, follow us at Truth Searchers, or I guess we could follow us at Paranormal TSP. Find Truth Searchers Paranormal Investigators. Follow us on our social media platforms, but particularly get on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. That's where we're posting some of our content, and then. Obviously want to plug our sponsor, the company behind the paranormal team, Greenville Ghost Tours. If you are in Greenville, you are visiting Greenville, come grab one of our tours. Hear some of the ghost stories about Greenville. Learn a little bit about history about Greenville. Even if you're a local, come learn something new. Come teach us something. We love hearing from locals. We love adding stuff to our tour and providing like really rich entertainment. We do. You probably heard this in the ad break, but we do spirit box sessions in Springwood Cemetery. If you book a private bar tour, we go into the cellar of Greenville Beer Exchange, which used to be a bathhouse where people abandoned and orphaned children there who would die of starvation and malnutrition. We do spirit box sessions there. Come check us out. It's a great time. Our city is beautiful. We love showing it off. We love telling its stories. We love talking about its ghosts. That would be my plugs.
For sure. And we got a video coming out soon that I'm excited about Comic-Con. So Comic-Con is coming to South Carolina soon, the South Carolina Comic-Con. So, check out our channel for that. And you'll also be getting the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review from yours truly, Gabe Matthews. And with that, I think we're ready to end the podcast. And I always like to say, the truth is paranormal, and have our guest say, be a searcher. So if you would like to partake in this, remember, the truth is paranormal.
Be a searcher. That's it. That's all we got for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow us on social media at Truth Searchers. See you next time.